Hi, I'm Madison Mary and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please don't hesitate to click that subscribe button down below. And without further ado, let's get into my manga video. So I'm really excited. This is a video that's very dear to my heart. I'm going to be talking about some of my childhood favorite mangas. I will admit, so some of these you can no longer buy because they're out of print, or some of these you can no longer buy the editions that I have because they now you can only buy them in omnibuses. So I'm really sorry if you can't find them, but these are my childhood favorites that I read. Like, I read some of these like as they were being published, or I read them like, well, these mean the world to me. These really do mean the world to me, and it's taken a long time for me to finally put out this video, because when you cherish something so close to your heart, it is hard to, you know, share it with people. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is one that I mention in a lot of my videos. That is because it is very dear to my heart, and that is Ma, which is March-en Awakens Romance. This has 15 volumes. It is a shonen manga. It is one of the few shonen mangas that I am just like completely obsessed with. Ma follows Ginta. He is a 14-year-old boy. He is a loser at school. He gets picked on, he gets bullied, and no one's really his friend. He has one friend who's this girl, but he's like in love with her, and there's a weird thing that's going on. But his dad disappeared a couple years ago, was talking about this like magical realm, and then like he just disappeared. And Ginta, over the last 102 days, has been having the same dream over and over again, and it all culminates in one day when he's in his classroom. This gigantic door just appears out of nowhere, and he gets sucked into it, and he wakes up and he's in this magical world, and suddenly he is like completely amazing. Like, he no longer has to wear glasses, his eyesight is fixed, he's really strong, he's agile, he can like, he used to have asthma, he doesn't have asthma anymore. And he gets there and he finds out that he's been brought there because he is now the hero of this world. He is supposed to save everyone from the chess pieces. And the chess, like the evil people in this world, they are a group of people run by the Phantom, who is a very bad person. And Ginta begins to believe that being here, he'll be able to find out actually what happened to his dad as well. Now, I don't want to go into like the magic system of this world because it's very confusing. The way that it kind of works is like there are like these objects, and these objects can then transform into like magical things. Think of like, you know, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! With the cards, when you play the cards, then like these creatures, then like animated things come out of it. It's like that, but with like actual like objects. Like Dorothy, who is in the front cover, she's a witch and she collects arms. Arms are like what the little objects are known as. Like, she has this one dog charm, and it transforms into Toto, who is like this massive ass, like very evil looking dog who like devours everyone. I adore the crap out of this series, and I highly recommend it. Although it's really hard to track them down. I currently own volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't own volumes 10 and 6. It's very sad. Now I'm going to go on to one where I want to warn you that if you are sensitive to crying at all, do not read this series. That is going to be Kitchen Princess by Natsumi Ando. I love this series so much. Kitchen Princess is one that I have quite a funny history with. So I actually started Kitchen Princess with volume 6 because when my dad would travel to America, he would always buy me mangas since they were a lot cheaper here. And I was like, Dad, can you give me volume 6 of Tokyo Mew Mew and volume 1 of Kitchen Princess? And he's like, I got you. And he came back, and he came back with volume 6 of Kitchen Princess and volume 1 of Tokyo Mew Mew a la mode. And I was like, oh, why did you? Well, this isn't what I said, but it was fine because that's where I started it. I will admit, do not start with volume 6 because you will be depressed AF. I have cried multiple times reading that single volume. It is amazing. But I adore Kitchen Princess so much. It is about Nishika, and she is this amazing chef. And when she was a kid, she met this boy who saw her crying, and he gave her a flan, and she never saw the boy ever again, but the flan came with a spoon, and on the spoon there was an S and A on it, and that S and A stood for Seika Academy, and that is the academy that she has been trying to get into all her life. And she has just been accepted as a transfer student, as like a special student in the culinary program. And so it's about her going to the school, trying to find this like prince of her dreams, and she ends up meeting these two brothers, and there's a lot that goes on between the two of them. It's not really a love triangle at all. It's very hard to explain the romance in this book, but it deals with a lot of tough topics. It deals with grief. Nishika was an orphan, and she was raised in like this orphanage by this really wonderful like old lady, and you know, she has a lot of pressure because she's like, you know, she's this country bumpkin who has now come to this like really prestigious school, and she gets made fun of, she gets bullied. There's triggers in this for loss of a loved one, there's triggers in this for on-page death scenes, triggers in this for eating disorders. A lot of shit goes down in this series, but it is by far one of the most amazing if you can get your hands on the copies and read them. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, also at the end of every volume is like recipes for like what she cooks. Really fun. Now we're gonna go into my magical girl mangas. I have 3 of these that I was like obsessed with growing up. I did love Sailor Moon. I'm obviously going to like, you know, mention Sailor Moon quickly here. Sailor Moon was one of my favorites. Like when I was an infant, like before I could even like speak or like have any memories, my mum was playing Sailor Moon on the TV for me. Like I grew up not even realizing I was watching Sailor Moon, and then I did know I was watching Sailor Moon, and it's like one of my all-time like childhood favorites. I'm very nostalgic for it, but I do have, you know, these 2 other series that are magical girls that I'm a lot more connected to. So the first of those is going to be Tokyo Mew Mew, followed by Tokyo Mew Mew a la Mode. This is the spin-off. It is 2 volumes. This is 6 or 7 volumes. There's also 2 animes for this. There is the regular like actual like Japanese anime, and then there's the 4Kids version, which is the like English dub of it. It's not that great, the English dub. I would highly recommend the actual like Japanese anime if you're gonna watch it, because that one actually accurately follows the manga. The 4Kids version is like a very generic basic version of it that really doesn't like hit all the points. It's all very condensed and like sped up, but that's all you can find, that's all you can find. So we're following Ichigo, and she is really excited. She has this like date with her crush, and she's like all for it. She's like, finally, like we're going on this date, and she's on this date with him. And then out of nowhere, there's this like bright light in the sky, and like things happen, and she wakes up and she has this like weird mark on her inner thigh. And she finds out this bright light meant that her and 4 other random girls were all like kind of infused with the DNA of extinct animals. So she ends up getting infused with the DNA of an almost extinct wildcat. So she has like cat ears and like a tail, as you can see, but also at the same time, like she just generally has been changed. She's a gymnast, and now she's like freaking phenomenal as a gymnast. Like her reflexes are like no other, and she also like really loves fish now. So it's her finding out that she's like this leader of a group, and so she has to go and find the 4 other girls. So they band together as this group known as the Mew Mews, and they have to fight against aliens that are trying to invade and take over Earth. But basically she ends up also having to work at a maid cafe. It's like their underground like secret headquarters. There's like this really cute cafe, and the 2 guys who run it are the ones who like started the whole project, like the Mew Project, to create these girls who could then, you know, fight back against the aliens. It's kind of like, you know, these Powerpuff Girls were like created to like defeat evil. Like they were like created to defeat evil as well, and it's a really great series. I absolutely adore it. If you are a huge Magical Girl fan, this is like a cult classic in my opinion. And then like I said, there's also a spin-off called Tokyo Mew Mew a la Mode. It's really cute. It doesn't really add much to the story, but yeah. Mew Mew style, Mew Mew grace, Mew Mew power in your face. Ignore me, ignore me. If you've seen the TV show, you know what I'm talking about, but otherwise ignore me. The other one I have talked to you about that is like a cult classic, like the #1 manga that is like near my heart, the #1 anime that is near my heart, the one that is like my entire being to the max, is going to be Mermaid Melody Pitch Pitch Pitch. I used to like keep it a secret that I would watch this even from my friends who like were anime fans, because I wanted it to be like my thing. It's like I hold this series so close to my heart. Like I was such a weird child, but like, so in the anime they sing, and the songs that they sing to the ocean, I would walk along the beach and sing the songs into the ocean in the hope that I would somehow also become a mermaid princess. All I wanted in life was to be a mermaid princess with really cool singing powers, and it never happened. But I do own a necklace that is the main character's necklace in this series. It's Lucia's pendant. But this series is about mermaid princesses. There are princesses for each of the different oceans. So Lucia is the princess of the Pacific Ocean, and she, when she was younger, met a boy who was drowning, and she saved him with the pearl in her pendant. Without it, she can't access her magical abilities. And she's also tone deaf, because each of the mermaid princesses can also transform into, once again, this sounds so weird, they can transform into singers, and they use their songs of magic. You know, like mermaid sirens, like they have magic like in their singing voice, so they transform into like idols and they sing, and their songs defeat the evil creatures. Because what's currently happening is that there's this evil king underwater who's like trying to take over all the oceans, and so Lucia is sent to land to be safe, but then she ends up finding out what's really going on, and so her and then like eventually like all the princesses end up like coming together. I will admit that like for a majority of this series, it's like only like 3 of the main princesses, Lucia, Hanon, and Rina, but you know, like it does like go throughout like and change. They all have their own romances throughout the series. Lucia's romance with Kaito is like my favorite. That's the guy who she like saved with her pendant as a kid. Like they're like one of my biggest ships. It is kind of like a forbidden romance because she can't tell him that she's a mermaid, otherwise she will turn into bubbles. He knows her as a mermaid, and then he also knows her like as a human, but he doesn't know that like they're two in the same. At one point, like he thinks he does, like in the very beginning of the first book, but then he's like, no, it can't be. But I absolutely adore the series. Like I said, it is just like one of my all-time favorites. Even though it sounds weird, I love it. Then I have 2 more to talk to you about that are like childhood favorites. We have Ultramaniac. This one I actually never read the mangas for. I was introduced to the anime of it because my best friend, when I was a little kid, her name was Tina. Tina will never see these videos, but Tina Han, you are ever watching this, you are the best. Tina lent me her DVDs that were the entire series of Ultramaniac to watch, and I remember like I would put them into the DVD player and I would sit there for like the entire weekend and just watch it all, and it was like my favorite thing I ever watched. Like it was like my first time actually being able to watch an anime like all at once, like on a DVD, instead of like having to find them all online like a very sad human being. So we are following Ayu and Nina. Ayu is like a really popular girl at her school, but you know, she's so popular like sometimes people like kind of, they see her like as unapproachable. And then there's a new transfer student known as Nina, and Nina's like really cute, she's quirky, she's like ditzy, she's hilarious AF. And the reason why Nina has transferred to this school is because she's actually a witch, and she has come to the human realm to complete her studies, and she has to keep her identity a secret or else she'll like be disqualified. But of course Nina messes up, and she literally tells it to Ayu like in the very beginning. And so it's Nina trying to like hone her magic skills, but at the same time she makes like these horrible magical mistakes with like her spells, and like things go down, and Ayu has to like help her like try and get things correct and like fix it. The hijinks, this is hilarious, and they each have their own romances in it, so it's really cute in that sense. You know, Nina obviously has to keep her identity a secret, whereas Ayu's like fine with like her romance, but like for her romance is more of like a reluctant, like the two of them like each other, but like they don't say anything because like Ayu's like the cool girl, so you know what I mean. Like, but yeah, it's perfect. And honestly, like for one that came out pretty while back, the style of this is like pretty good still. Damn. Then I have Gentleman's Alliance Cross. This series is really interesting. I would say it's kind of bully romance-esque, or like not even like bully romance between like the two of them, but like bullying in general occurs in this book a lot. Arina Chinomura has some really great mangas out there. She's one of my favorite mangakas of all time, but Gentleman's Alliance Cross was another manga that I was introduced to because of Tina Han. Like she owned like the first 5 of them, and she was like, here you go, you can read them. So we follow Hane, and she comes from a very prestigious family, and in order for a 50 million yen business loan, they gave another family their daughter. They gave her away for a 50 million yen business loan. And so then she became adopted into the Otomiya family, and so she's raised in this family, and because of that she has been it's very prestigious, so she got appointed to the student council at the Imperial Academy like school that she goes to. They don't really like her because they don't really think she has much of a right to be there. Everyone knows her story and they all really judge her for it, but she's appointed to the student council. They basically use her as a gopher. They're all pretty mean to her, and then she ends up meeting the guy who was at the head of the student council, and she's always really admired him because he wrote this children's book, and that's like what made him really famous. When he was like 5 years old, he wrote this children's book. I know that makes no sense, but just go with me on it. And so she's like always wanted to meet him, and then she finally does meet him, and he kind of like, he knows that she likes him, so he kind of like starts taking advantage of that, and like then he does fall in love with her, and it's like their romance while everyone else around them like doesn't really want them to be together, and there's like a lot of struggles and stuff. I don't think this is gonna be everyone's cup of tea, but I loved it as a kid. It also had like one hell of a plot twist towards the end. Like this, Arina Chinomura like pulls out all the damn stops in all of her series. Like they are really shocking, and they do not hold punches back, and they also get like very deep and dark very quickly. So even though they look like really sweet mangas, all of hers are very dark. Like they deal with some serious topics. And then the last manga I want to talk about, I don't actually have here with me. They're in storage because I own very exclusive original editions of this manga that like I want them to be like in pristine condition, and so like they're like in like a whole like special box with like they can't get ruined. But I own Fruits Basket, and Fruits Basket is like my entire life. Everyone's really finding out about it now because of the reboot that happened, I think 2 years ago. So people are now like really loving Fruits Basket again, but I was one of the few people who had to suffer through like the really bad animation back in 2005. But even though it was bad animation, I fell in love with Kyo. He is the love interest of this series. There is a love triangle, but he is like the main love interest, okay? Kyo is. He's a cat. Okay, he's the cat zodiac. I know you're gonna say the cat zodiac doesn't exist, and that's the entire point, okay? The cat never actually got to be on the zodiac, never got to be a zodiac because he was tricked, okay? The rat zodiac sign tricked the cat zodiac sign, so the cat zodiac sign missed the boat, and he never got to actually be a zodiac. So all the other 12 zodiacs exist, and he is just like the forbidden one. It's really sad. So basically this is the story of Toru Honda. She is an orphan, her mum passed away, and so she's been living in a tent ever since. And after a series of events, she ends up getting taken in by the Soma family. And this Soma family consists of Shigure, Kyo, and Yuki. Kyo and Yuki are her age. Shigure is like an older man, like kind of like the head of the household for them. And she's really thankful for that until she discovers that they are actually all reincarnations of the 12 zodiacs. Kyo actually, like I just said, is not a reincarnation of one of the typical zodiacs. He is the cat zodiac that never really existed. But what happens is that this whole family is basically, they're cursed. They're reincarnations, but they're cursed. So they cannot actually touch another gender. So like the guys in his family can't touch females, or they will transform into their zodiac form, and the girls in his family can't touch guys, or they'll turn into their zodiac form. But within the family, they can touch one another and they won't transform. So it's her being a part of this family and kind of learning about the different curses in it, and how there's a lot of issues within his family, especially for Kyo. Like I said, he is the cat zodiac sign, and that is very looked down upon. He is considered a huge curse to everyone. No one likes him. He is like the outcast of the family, and because of that, he's like very wounded and very hurt by that, and he can't really trust people. And it's Toru kind of beginning to like show him like emotions and love, and like letting him in and being really sweet. And it's their romance. A lot of people go into this thinking it's going to be between Toru and Yuki, but like not at all. Like you learn very quickly on like that is not endgame. I knew people growing up who were like, that's going to be endgame, and I was like, that is never going to be endgame, and it wasn't. But once again, this is another series that gets really dark. It's very serious. There's a lot of talk about morality, about like family and stuff, and it is just amazing. Truly, truly amazing as a series, and I would highly, highly recommend it. Like I said, this is only part 1 of my childhood favorites, so if you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button down below. Let me know your favorite childhood manga series, and if you want to see more of me, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, thanks a bunch everyone. Bye!